Good morning to you all out there. You are welcome to the program, and today's program is a sponsor program from the International Federation of Women Lawyers, who are here to talk about awareness raising campaign on the existing law guaranteeing equality and condemning violence on women. That is what we'll be talking on. And so I'll be having the pleasure of welcoming two barristers at law who are all women who are at the forefront of this fight. So presently in the studio we have one of the barrister in the person of Barrister Caroline Tim. Good morning to you, madam.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Yeah, you equally doubles as the public relation officer of FIDA Cameroon. So, briefly, just talk us through what FIDA actually stands for, because it's in Spanish. That was a Spanish translation.
Yeah, it's a Spanish translation which says uh, International Federation of Women Lawyers, and when they call it FIDA, Federación de
Uh,
Abogados.
okay. All right.
So, FIDA, essentially, like you said earlier, it's an association of female lawyers, or let me put it, female jurists.
Okay.
Everyone with a law degree, and has the passion can be. And essentially, what they do, it's advocating for women's rights through the legal framework, education, sensitization, and trainings. Yeah.
Okay, so today, what we'll be dwelling on is this that says facts and figures of ending gender against women. Let me come in here. This one, you went further, though. Your program went further to talk on the awareness raising on laws regarding violence against women. We have laws that have been enacted by the various parliament, both houses, but we still have this practice that is far from ending.
Yeah, and it's sad that the practice still goes on despite the laws that are in place. Now, one of the things I want to look at first is ignorance. Many a times people suffer because of ignorance, and so that's not different from our society. There are many people who still don't know that they have these laws existing, and there are many other factors that can contribute to leading to that, people not knowing, considering the bilingual nature of the country. Sometimes when these laws are signed in parliament and they come out in French before the translation goes through, so one, ignorance. Two, I think our cultural practices,
Okay.
they have an influence on that, because there are many of those things, violence that goes on, but they try to associate it with cultural practices. So some of these cultural practices influence that and sponsor this violence.
All, all right. Thank you so much, madam. So I would like to have a little editorial here regarding these practices that we have been talking about. Globally, an estimated figure of 736 million women, almost one in three women has actually undergone or subjected to that is subjected to this harassment of sexual violence. For both of these figures, it states that 30% of them live below the poverty line in the world, and as such 15% of this global figure can be spotted in Africa. So according to these figures that was being made known to us by the UN Women, what actually is appalling is the fact that 15% of the those who are volatile to those practices are found on the continent.
Yeah, yeah. I just said something earlier, and I want to think that is one of the reasons. First, the cultural practices.
Okay.
We live, Africa is still a society that is closely tied with their traditions that they cannot really depart, but we have some of them that are really repugnant, and they affect women in a violent way. But it's still so difficult to part ways with them, and that's one of the reasons why the rise of this violence keeps going. And number two, the unrest. I mean, there is a lot of unrest in Africa, and women being, the vulnerable persons in the society, they are affected easily. with that.
You mentioned the unrest. I would like to pinpoint certain acts like the gruesome killing of Florence Ayafo, who was it was really disgusting some years back. That is the wardress of the Bamenda Central Prison, who actually was killed in Pinin. And we have this other situation of the women from the northern part of the country who were shot at by the Cameroonian military with their children who were being carried on their backs. So FIDA has been on the forefront of these outcries of such malpractices that have been ongoing. But what I find quite intriguing is the fact that these things are far from ending. What are the stuff? Are you guys not? Haven't you been taking a lot of stands against such acts?
Seriously, I mean, and I appreciate the question very much. Now, taking stands, I think FIDA has been taking very clear stance on this. We condemn violence in any form very seriously. It is not allowed, no way, no time, for no reason. We condemn it wholeheartedly. But there is something when you have an unrest like this going on. Like I said, women are always vulnerable. And so they become the easily targeted persons to get. And again, the society that we are living, I mean, there are so many things that sponsor all of this because of the ignorance and because of the lack of execution of the laws. Because the laws are there, and sometimes the execution of it becomes a problem, And so when these things are not, then, the perpetrators can go. And sometimes if the laws are there, the laws are, I mean, they are not, I don't know which word I want to use.
Okay.
Here, not trying
they need to be
hard.
reinforced.
Yes,
the
but
laws
I want
need to be reinforced.
Because when I talk about that, I look at the law on rape, in his 40s. And the maximum sentence for a rapist is 10 years.
Okay.
If the person comes out, he'll be coming out in his 50s, still strong, and can still do the act.
So in other words, the law needs to be revisited.
Yes, some of those laws need to be amended, and then the sentences need to be, they need to push forward the maximum sentence to like 20 years. So when a perpetrator hears that I'm going to spend 20 years in prison, he thinks twice before committing some of those offenses.
Okay, madam, Barrister, I would like us to look at the other side of the coin. What if it's in a scenario where the victim is actually a man that was being sexually harassed by a female?
The punishment is the same. Okay. Now, the truth is, FIDA, when we talk about women and girls' rights, it is not because we don't recognize. That's why always we would like to put it gender-based violence. So it affects everybody. The reason why women and girls are really emphasized, and you said it earlier yourself, it's because they have the vulnerable part. That's why you see the percentage that it's high. It's because of the higher percentage of women being violated. That's why we emphasize on women. But that does not take away the men from it. So if a man is the one facing, he's definitely going to have the same,
Okay, madam, let me delve into this other side of the coin. This one says in 2018, an estimated one in seven women actually witnessed physical sexual violence from intimate partners or someone they are related to. And in this category, most of them falls under the age of 15 to 49 years. And as such, this outcry actually was made worse due to the COVID-19 that started in 2019, where there were lots of lockdowns across various countries in the world, and some unrest in certain countries like Syria and others that has actually attributed to these figures being swelled as the years come by. Recently, according to a UN report that was made known recently, it indicates that this percentage is actually staggering in such a way that these practices in these various countries have actually jumped what many people say it beats their imagination.
Yeah, and that's sad. again, there is something we have been talking about, like cultural practices, and I want to look at one like the female genital mutilation, because that is a typical practice, traditional practice, but it is harmful, and it still goes on despite all the education. Now we are lucky in Cameroon that, it is being almost eradicated in our societies, but for the northern part of the country, where they still hold so tight to it. And so it's going to take a lot of education, lots of training, lots of information, lots of sensitization to, to take away all of this. Yes.
So, as FIDA has been on the forefront of this, what should be the raison d'etre of most people? Because at times we find, since we live in a patriarchal world, whether it's in most parts of the world, it's known as a patriarchal world, a man's world.
Yeah.
So what should be done for women's plight and such practices like sexual harassment and such, in order for us to raise the campaign? We just ended with the 16 days of activism. That one I'll be getting to. Barrister Deborah will be coming up shortly. Barrister Deborah Itua will be joining us shortly to talk more on that. So, Barrister, I want to find out from you, what should we as citizens of the Cameroon or the world be doing in order to make sure these laws are actually hard on perpetrators who carry such evil acts?
Yeah. Now, there is something, we have what is going on now on this gender-based violence. We have sub-clusters, we have clusters, we have task force, we have the FACO, so divisionally they've created that. We have one in FACO, and once in a while they always have a meeting at the delegation of, MINPROF. Yeah. And so the main thing is this campaign, it's our sensitization. We need to teach the people and get many other people to join in the campaign. Just people, that's why FIDA has gone way out to train paralegals how to file complaints on gender-based violence. They've trained, counselors, and the mayors talked with the police, because these are all the task force that we need to help. Because when we have all of those people in the society, talking about it, educating the community, when a case like that arises in the society, it will be reported with ease. The problem is many of these cases are pushed under the rug. They are not reported. So if we want these laws to actually be enforced, we have to be reporting these cases. And on the other hand, FIDA has a duty and has been doing that, lobbying with the senators and the parliamentarians, advocating for better laws, to amend those ones that are so obscure, and come up with much more better laws. Also educating ourselves as lawyers who are the upholders of these laws, and we'll always stand before the court of law to promote that, to make sure we understand that independent of the laws, the national laws we have in Cameroon, we do have international instruments that Cameroon is a signatory to and has been acceded to in the parliament, which makes them laws in Cameroon. So we can avail ourselves to all of those instruments.
All right, Barrister, since we are talking about women issue, I would like us to divert a little bit to this one from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Recently, the Nigerian Senate actually rejected a bill that was being tabled by female senators over there in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, asking for them to enact a law that says equality 50-50, and so that the men and the women should be of the same level. Surprisingly, the Senate that has been majority of them are men, actually voted overwhelmingly against this bill that was tabled by Senator Aisha. So, Barrister, these are some of the things we find it quite fascinating. Where, as I mentioned that we in Africa, we find ourselves, we brand ourselves as a man's world. So, what should lawmakers? This one is coming from Nigeria. So, what would be a watchword for such people who enact laws into action?
There is one thing that they should understand. We cannot have a sustainable society when women are being underestimated or underlined. we cannot have a sustainable society. So if we think we are looking forward to, a sustainable society, sustainable development, then women should be giving their due. Now, when we talk about equality, many a times what makes people start reacting the way they are reacting, we are not talking about equality because we want to have the male sex. Okay. No. I'm saying that if I went to law school and go through, let me say this, and I'm a practicing lawyer.
Yeah.
If they are giving a case of 50 million to a male lawyer, I should be able to do a case of 50 million. Okay. They shouldn't look at me because I'm a woman, I can't handle a case of 50 million. No. That's the kind of equality we are talking about. If you're sitting here as a journalist, and I am sitting here as a journalist, and we should be paid equally.
50-50.
Yeah.
Just like what the aspirant president of the United States, that's Hillary Clinton, was advocating for.
Yeah. And if we have to come to the table with ideas, my idea shouldn't be disregarded just because I'm a woman.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the things, that's the kind of equality, because at the end of the day, the men need my vote.
Sure.
And so if they need my vote, they should be able to hear my voice.
All right, Barrister, we are coming back home. This other statistic that was made known to the public in Cameroon: 56.4% of women have suffered from emotional and sexual harassment or violence. 39% of the national Cameroonian population lives below the poverty line. That is one of the prompt factors being poor. This rate raises to 51.5%. 4 women, according to Relief, 4 women out of 10, according to Relief World, the study that they carried out said they have in Cameroon have actually witnessed sexual harassment or sexual violence or violence from the other gender, that is the male. What I put it to you, what should we be doing in order to curb on this alarming figure?
Now, what should we be doing? It's education. There is nothing more short of education, because many a time some people do it ignorantly. Some do it because they think they can go scot-free, not even that they know it is a wrong, but because they think there is no law that can stop them, so they go ahead with it. Now, if we keep doing what we are doing right now, letting the people know this is wrong, too, there is a law out there, this is an offense, then people will start getting it, and it starts sinking in their heads, knowing that we need to stop. There needs to be a stop. Now, violence is something that it's an ongoing thing. It goes every day. We see it in Africa, it's the same thing in Europe, it's the same thing in America. There is so much violence out there. And like we said, women being a vulnerable part, particularly when you have the crisis that is going on in the Northwest and Southwest, sometimes it's out of frustration. People are just frustrated with the whole situation, and you take it out on some other person. But that's not how it's supposed to be,
Okay, well, Barrister, we have this other scenario that has to do with the taking away of life known as femicide. That is an act where a woman is being killed because she is a woman. This act is quite rampant in the great rainbow nation of South Africa of late Nelson Mandela. So South Africa brands herself as the number one country on the continent when it comes to violence against women and femicide. That's the act of taking away the life of a woman because she is of the female gender. Barrister, this issue raised a lot of outcry nationally, internationally, and across the spectrum, where it's actually rampant. But the government of Cyril Ramaphosa, that's the South African president, has actually come up with a lot of laws to make sure this act of this act of violence against women, I put it that way, and femicide is being curtailed from those shores of that nation. But recently we have actually found it's quite fascinating because they have actually witnessed a drastic drop in these cases. So should we as Cameroonians not copy the good example that is coming from the rainbow nation of South Africa?
We should. Now, there is one thing I want to say in Cameroon. The truth is that we have the laws. There are some that are like I said about the rape case, that to me, I think should be amended and given the maximum sentence should be increased. But we have the laws that protect the rights of women. We are a signatory to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the CEDAW. We are a signatory to the Maputo Protocol, which is the African Charter on the Protocol on the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. So we have all of these laws and many others. We are, a signatory to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And our constitution itself prohibits all of this violence. But the question is, why does it still exist? So we come back to the fact that the executory process is where we have a problem.
Okay.
We have a problem. Lack of education, that people don't know that these laws are existing, and the execution of it. So this is where FIDA is. That's why FIDA is hammering on this part of campaign, educating the people. There are existing laws. We have good laws. In Cameroon, we do have them. We have these laws that, protect the rights of women. So if you don't, today we are working this, like I talked a little while ago about the gender-based task force that is existing. We have the police, the state council, the social affairs, all of that. Those are all clusters that you run there and make a complaint, and they'll gladly channel you to the right place.
Wow. Okay, Barrister Caroline, this last one before you leave, because we'll be having Barrister Buea will be joining us shortly to talk briefly on certain engagement that FIDA has been engaging for some time now. So, Barrister, I would like to find out from you, what can you tell the ladies or women out there who are passing through sexual violence or gender-based violence, but they don't know the channels on how the quarters on the approach method to carry about that reporting the victim, the actors who are engaged in such acts. What are the modalities, you as a barrister at law and a jurist, what are the modalities that you could talk to someone to?
Now, this is the first thing I want to tell them, is that silence is never an answer. Don't keep silent for any reason. It is not a time to shame or to gossip. It is a time to stand up. Now, if you or your neighbor is suffering from that, be your neighbor's keeper. Make a complaint. Speak out. Don't keep it. I just said about, we have communities, organizations now that are coming up to stand for this gender-based violence. But I want to tell you something. If you are right there and you're suffering from this violence and you don't know where to run to, one of the things I'll tell you, run to we have the FIDA office right there in Mutengene, where you can take your complaint.
Where is it located?
It is located just by the bridge before you going down to the police school.
The police
just
school.
When you get there is a bridge before you start descending that hill. So it just by the bridge there, and on your left there is a story building right there.
All right.
Yes.
Barrister, I would like to have the number of that set office, so that those who are going through such acts should actually have the courage to call and report such actors. So, if that's possible, can we just have the numbers for us?
I can't keep that number.
Okay, shortly, Barrister.
Yes, but we'll have to give the number.
For sure,
but,
for sure.
And I don't want to limit them just to FIDA office, because if you have it, you can still run to the hospital.
Okay.
When you go to the hospital and you have these wounds, they'll take care of that, and then they'll direct you to the proper place.
Okay.
To go. You can still go to the state council's office, and you can still go to the place.
All right.
And make a complaint.
Thank you very much, Barrister Caroline and team, for your time.
Thank you.
You doubles as a public relations officer of FIDA Cameroon. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, televiewers, we're going to take in a short break to meet with the next barrister at law. That will be Barrister Buea. Will be drilling us on some of the engagement that have been taken by the FIDA Cameroon, that's the Female Association of Female Lawyers across the world. The Cameroonian chapter will be delving into what they have been engaging in. Just stay with us after this break.
I'm asking you a question. Stand there and stand me. You are talking to
Starfish Entertainment.
Ooh.
Même on the beat. Finalement, la go l'a trouvé, oh, l'homme de sa vie, oh yeah, yeah. Finalement, oh, elle a trouvé, oh, l'homme de sa vie. Antimado a beaucoup cherché le mariage. Elle a trouvé ton maquillé bango bango. Pas comme les autres avec le sabotage. Oh Mado, oh, Ticandolo. Une fille très fidèle, très calme, très amoureuse. Oh lélé, voilà ton main est tombé sans glisser. Oh lélé, Mado, oh ya motondolo. Oh, 10 ans dans la paix, dans la joie, dans la grâce. 10 ans dans la paix, dans la joie, dans la grâce. 10 ans dans la paix, dans la joie, dans la grâce. Oh, yeah.
Hi everyone, you are welcome back to the program, and we will be having another barrister at law, this time around Barrister Deborah Itwe, who doubles as one of the barristers at law of the Female Women Lawyers Federation of the world, in Spanish acronym as FIDA. So the Cameroonian chapter this day will be talking to us. Barrister Deborah, let me start with you. I would like to find out what are some of the engagement. First of all, FIDA Cameroon started in 1994, where multipartism was on the rise in the country. So I would like us to deduct certain successes that you guys have recorded ever since 1994.
Thank you, Mr. Presenter. FIDA Cameroon has done so much as far as trying to eliminate violence against women and girls is concerned. We have done a lot of awareness raising. We do that through media houses. We do that through publications. There are books. You have, like one publication, you have an eye opener.
Okay.
You can go through and then you see what FIDA has done. It has gone a long way in educating women, because there are laws. Actually, there are laws, but a lot of women, they are ignorant about the law because they were not aware. So we are trying now to help them to understand that there is a law that's protecting them against violence committed by the male against women and the girls. We do publications we do sensitization and awareness even in churches, in schools, because even in schools we still have violence.
Okay.
Yeah, we have violence.
All right, Barrister, my intricacy now will be what prompted FIDA Cameroon to come up with this engagement of awareness raising campaign on the existing laws guaranteeing equality and condemning violence.
Normally, women are the vulnerable population. As you rightly mentioned, you see the number of the percentage of those who are violated mostly are women, and women FIDA encouraging women to speak out cannot be other than making them to be aware of their rights, that they are equal to the men. We have even customs and tradition repugnant. They are repugnant, but they still encourage violence against women. So FIDA now has to come in to put an end to such repugnant traditions.
Okay.
Like we have cases where the men, in some customs, they refuse that a woman cannot own property, that a woman is a property. FIDA says no, women are not property. They are human beings equal to men. The fact that you are a male and I am a female does not make me more or less a human being.
Okay.
Yes. So because of these kind of discriminations, FIDA said no. It is high time they come out to educate women and girls to know that they have to be educated,
They have to speak for themselves. They have to come out in public and hold even public offices. A woman is a lawyer, like I'm sitting here. I am a lawyer because I went to school. But if I did not go to school, I wouldn't have been out there to educate women about their rights. Women have the right to occupy any position that a male can occupy.
Okay.
That is why FIDA is out.
All right. Okay, madam, thank you very much for that, barrister. I would like to, FIDA is one of the partners of UN Women. That is a global association for women who are outstanding there, who speaks against certain vices that is ongoing in the societal trend. So FIDA joined the UN Women and the world at large to commemorate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence that just ended recently. Barrister, I want to find out from you, what are some of the issues that were being tackled during this moment of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence?
Thank you again. Awareness raising.
Okay.
Through media houses, radio stations, television, schools, churches, public places like motor parks. So FIDA went out there to make the public to understand that there is something that is going on for those 16 days that people have to know. Even men, they have to know their rights. They can be violated also, because that's why we talk about gender-based violence. It's not only female, but we base our attention on female because they are the, as we said, they are the vulnerable population. Yes, so those are some of the activities that FIDA carried out, educate the population.
Okay, aside from that, I want to equally find out how should someone who cannot talk, who knows what is going through, but a woman who lacks that push to actually report someone who has been harassing her for the past years. And most at times we find it very intriguing because some of these women are being violated by their own relatives or persons at work. So what should FIDA, or you as a woman, or since FIDA is an organization for female lawyers, what should you people be doing in order to push these your sisters who are silent to report such atrocious acts or persons?
Yes, thank you again. That is why we say we are doing awareness. If you don't talk, we can't help you. But if you talk, that is where we'll be able to help you. We are just encouraging the women out there or their neighbors who actually see what is happening to them. They can encourage them to complain to any female lawyer who can go to meet that particular person, the survivor who is going through that, so that the person, you talk with the person, and if the person is willing to open up, because you cannot force the person to talk, because there are cases that you even go as far as even lodging complaints in court, and then at the end of the day, the woman says, no, please, I want that matter to be withdrawn. But in this case, we still encourage survivors to speak out, and we also want the neighbors to be their keepers, to help speak for them.
Okay, Barrister Deborah, one last word to women out there who, since you guys are out for awareness raising campaign on the existing guaranteeing equality and condemning violence on women, I would like you to talk to the female folks who are watching you right now regarding these vices that most of them are passing through but lacks the courage. And in as much as you'll be doing that, I would like you to help them with the contact of FIDA, so that those who want to speak out could get to you or get to the contact they will be finding on the screen.
Thank you. First of all, I want to encourage women and girls out there that we are all equal before the law. The Cameroon Penal Code stands out to punish anyone who violates your rights. Secondly, the preamble of the Cameroon Constitution also makes it clear that women and men are equal in their rights and obligations. We have also international conventions, like we have the FIDA Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women.
The Maputo.
We have also the FIDA. We have also the Maputo Protocol. We also have even the African Charter and the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All those things, they guarantee equality of the rights of a woman. So we are only encouraging that they should speak out whenever they are violated in any of the forms of violence, because there are 4 forms of violence. So any of the forms: physical violence, sexual violence, economic violence, or emotional violence, they should speak out. Now, if they don't know where to go to, or if they really want to come to directly to the FIDA office, I will give them the contact. The office situated at Tico Road
in
Mutengene, yes, is 23 33 31 550. I'll repeat it: 23 33 31 550. And the number of our president, Madam Gladys Buea, is 677733
Can you just take it again?
677733 Those are the contacts that they can reach to FIDA office.
Barrister Buea, thank you very much for your time and for expatiating on what the law says and how we should curb on this sexual harassment and violence against women.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, so let me ask, that was how we saw it on the special program for this day that has to do with the nitty-gritties regarding sexual violence, as the International Federation of Women Lawyers, known as FIDA, were here to drill us on how we should carry on with such, or we should report such cases and on how to curb on them. So stay tuned on the same station as more interesting programs will be yours. Bye-bye.